wabarakatuh. Sir, my name is Muhammad Ali Kamabi Amli. I am from KBA2492B. So today I would like to present about sifat attribute of Allah. So the firstly is introduction of sifat attribute of Allah. Only the Islamic faith use the term Allah. The holy being known by the name Allah is everlasting and has existed from the beginning of time. He is all-sustaining, self-sustaining, and living. He is everything's master, is creator, and is Lord. Furthermore, D is not an attribution name, but rather God's given name. The creator and master of all things alone has a personal name in Arabic. The term Allah is only used as a personal noun to describe the one and only being in Arabic. It only ever refers to the name of God. The reality is that neither the word Allah nor any other word were formed from it, since Allah the Exalted made his name Allah inclusive of all of his other names and attributes in Holy Word, the Noble Quran, and has not given that status to any other name. Allah is that perfect being who is rightfully adored, combining in himself all perfect attribute and free from any defect, the one without associate and the source of all beneficence. Consequently, the name Allah supersedes all other names that it includes. It has all the ideal characteristic, since it is the culmination and all names and attributes. Four aspects of Allah mandatory nature, which are nature of nafsiyah, nature of sabiyah, nature of ma'ni, and nature of ma'nawi. Is nature of nafsiyah. The quality of nafsiyah is that it just illustrates the meaning of nature. The only characteristic of nafsiyah that may disclose material gods is wujud, or existence. The existence of God is usually taken for granted by believers. A Muslim's everyday existence reinforces their actual religious experience, which makes believing in God seem so normal that it is taken for granted. However, many people find it challenging to hold into their religious convictions and pursue existential understanding, especially in a culture that scorns faith as superstition, wishful thinking, or even a dangerous nightmare. The Quran encourages belief through appealing to the heart and reason. Two aspects of the human spirit, intuition and experience, must consist with logic and reason in order to attain a degree of faith in religion. These two factors inevitably result in the development of belief in people. Similar to this, the Quran and Sunnah both make heart and mind based arguments for God's existence, based on insight and thoughtful reflection. Is nature of salbiyah. Nature of salbiyah is the quality of rejecting and acknowledging things that are not deserving of the gods is salbiyah, because it is applied to reject gods that are improper for worship. It is referred to be a salbiyah feather. A true description of the vocabulary used to define salbiyah, together with the definition of insilab, may help distinguish conceptually between absence and negate. In the definition of salbiyah's nature, desire does not suggest deni or deni, but rather ternafi, which means absent or rejection. Salbiyah nature is not the rejection of implicit goods, but rather the absence of nature that is unworthy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because rejecting the opponent of Allah require opposing the obligatory nature of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. The word ternafi in the definition of salbiyah is the closest equivalent to the Arabic word isilab for its impossible character. There are four natures of salbiyah, which are khidam, baqa, mukhalafatuhu lil hawadih, qiyamuhu bin nafsih, and wahdahniyah. Firstly is khidam. The meaning of khidam is pre-existence. That is, the existence of God has no beginning. The existence of God does not begin without nothing. The existence of God is not held. God is not from anything. God is not something. God was not created and no one made God. God who made everything. Everything that is made is deficiency. What makes everything is that which is perfect from all deficiency. God must be perfect and it is impossible to be deficient. The nature of khidam is the nature of perfection that is only worthy of God with the state of his divine nature. There is the word in this monotheistic called azali that means the same thing as khidam. Some experts claim that the two phrases refer to the same thing, something without an origin. Some scholars assert that azali refer to things that exist, such as the essence of God and his qudrat, and ghairi refers to things that do not exist, such as having the appearance of God. As a result, khidam is distinct but azali is pervasive. No azali may be changed to become a khidam. This is known as reversing a khadim azali. Baqa means internal existence. God exists in internal. God exists without end. God does not exist to perish. God exists not accepting change. In monotheism, if it is believed that God is internal but will change, it is the same as saying that God is not internal. God cannot change. And number 3 is mukhalafatu lil hawadih. It means that this creature has no substance compared to that of Allah Almighty, which is what mukhalafatuhu lil hawadih means. Because neither the kind of nur, bright, zulmat, darkness, the type of heaven and earth, nor the type between heaven and earth represent Allah Almighty essence. Since Allah Ta'ala nature is suitable for eternity, nothing from this creation can compare to him. Due to the fact that this creature action just represent an attempt, it cannot be compared to Allah Ta'ala action. Allah Ta'ala deeds consist in bestowing the former by holding creation and taking away the latter by acting without the need of instruments or existence. Number 3 is qiyamuhu bin nafsih. Qiyamuhu bin nafsih, the connection of qiyamuhu bin nafsihi is that God is independent and does not need help from anybody. It is impossible for God to need help from anyone. He is weak, defective, and undeserving of the title of God if he needs help from other. God, who is all-powerful, majestic, just and self-sufficient, doesn't need anyone helps. It doesn't need to be improved more because it is currently excellent. If everyone had chosen to be and not worship him, his perfection will not have been jeopardized. Similar to this, when all people gather to worship and dedicate themselves to him, His perfection does not change. Number 4 is wahdaniyah. The Arabic word for one or single is wahdaniyah. The one and only description of God is that He is God alone. He is not compare of anything else. He is not seeking anything. He is not looking for help, and He has no allies. The nature of wahdaniyah must exist in Allah Ta'ala, actions, acts and nature. The phrase kammutasil and agreement of continuous number can be used to describe His zat, while wahdaniyah in zat denotes the absence of various components in Allah Ta'ala zat. There won't be any essence like to that of Allah Ta'ala or Qiyamuhu bin Nasih. Number 3 is nature of Ma'ni. As the creator, Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala has a necessary nature that He must have. Every Muslim must believe in it with all of their heart, voice and behavior. People must also take inspiration from God's needed nature in order to live fulfilling life. God's obligatory character is in line with His Majesty as the universe creator. The majority of academic believe that God must possess 20 characteristics grouped into 4 categories, one of which is the attribute of Ma'ni. This quality include kudrat, iradah, ilmu, haya, sama, basar and kalam. Firstly is kudrat. The Arabic word kudrat, which means power, is where the name kudrat originates. The visible cosmos and everything inside it are example of Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala creation. The orderly collision free movement of a network of planets demonstrate the might of Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. Only the Almighty could accomplish such a challenging and extraordinary event. Two is iradah. Iradah signifies that there is nothing that can stop Allah from achieving His goals. Rain, heat, planetary rotation, earthquake, and tsunamis are all brought on by God's will. This event also show how obedient Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala creators are in carrying out the will of their creator. Human were created to worship Allah, but they are too stubborn to make it flawless. Man is conceited and purpose enough to disobey God's will, where other animals are meek and obedient to it. Allah is ready to. Number 3 is ilmu. From the smallest to the largest, Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala is aware of everything in the sky and on earth. The two absolute nature of Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala, Al-Bashir and As-Sami', which stand for all seeing and all hearing, respectively, are also connected to ilmu. This is because of Muslim who holds the belief of Al-Ilmu, Al-Bashir and As-Sami' will the fate of the power of Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. Number 4 is Haya. Haya signifies life. Allah is a life being. One must firmly thinking that the living or essence of Allah is distinct from that of creature. The following summarize how monotheism view the living of Allah. Allah live without beginning or end, without the need for anything, without the need to breathe, without to eat, to drink, to have a spirit or soul, and without ever needing to rest or become tired. Number 5 is sama. The same meaning applies to listening. Allah is attentive. We must recognize the difference between listening to Allah and listening to animals. Only through a third party can being hear. For instance, the ear are used for hearing by human and certain other animal sense. If the creature ear is damaged or removed, it is doubtful that it will be able to hear. Number 6, is basar. Basar, which means see, is a quality that Allah must possess, since it is evident and discernible in everything. As long as there is a light, like the sight of things, Allah does not discern whether something is far away, nearby, huge or little. Allah is not limited by space or any other abstraction. And lastly is kalam. Kalam is to display and disclose what is in Allah's awareness. The attribute kalam, which means to show and disclose, must exist. The kalam is not written, said, or in the words that precede one another is Allah kalam. It is said that the word of Allah is not written, not spoken, and not like the words before. It is nature of manawiyah. Manawiyah attributes are characteristics that show there is a requirement that the gods have power and authority. Because the attribute of Magni exists, the characteristic of Magnawiyah also exists. The attribute of Magni exists because the attribute of Magnawiyah also exists. To put it another way, some of the quality are kaunuhu khadiran, kaunuhu muridan, kaunuhu aliman, kaunuhu hayyan, kaunuhu sami'an, kaunuhu bathiran, and kaunuhu mutakalliman. Kadiran is the state of Allah, powerful God is kaunuhu kadiran. It is necessary of God because of the nature power in God exists. Allah Qudrat, power, is a component of who He is. He is opposed by kaunuhu ajizan, which means His feeble state. Since it is impossible for Allah to be feeble, we must trust in His status as a powerful being. Next is kaunuhu muridan. The phrase kaunuhu muridan refers to the condition of Allah who wills, which is something that is demand of Allah, according to the nature of iradat. For Allah exists apart from the makeup of iradat. His rival kaunuhu karihan alludes to the condition of Allah as being perfect, such as the will proposition. Kaunuhu hayyan, the condition of Allah Ta'ala bodies right now. Anything other than hayya and is improbably strong opponent, especially the mortal condition of Allah Ta'ala, exhibits such quality. As a result, Allah Ta'ala lose all His attributes such as kudrah, iradah, ilmu, and other attributes, and the intellect is incapable of comprehending Allah Ta'ala mortal condition. God Almighty must thus be a living being. Sami'an, all hearing state of Allah that Almighty is referred to kaunuhu sami'an. The fact that this kaunuhu sami'an trait also characterize sama in general should be emphasized right away. One may argue that the other maintains the sama nature. However, these two attributes also different from one and another in terms of functionality. The primary difference is that after creating the universe through kudrah and iradah, kaunuhu sami'an, Allah Ta'ala is closer to Allah Ta'ala hearing. Subsequently, kaunuhu basiran, the all-seeing being that exists in actuality as Allah is referred to as kaunuhu basiran. Bashar's attribute supports this one. The opposite of kaunuhu basiran is kaunuhu ama, the existence of Allah as a blind being, and Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is unable to possess that trait. Kaunuhu aliman, the habitual character of Allah exists, which is habituated the nature of his wisdom is known as kaunuhu aliman. According to Abu Hasan Ash'ari, the word kaunuhu aliman denotes that Allah has a knowledge-based personality. If Allah Ta'ala possesses the traits of ignorance, then it most certainly possesses those traits. It is obvious to our sight. Thus, Allah Ta'ala does not know. Intelligence cannot accept. Lastly is kaunuhu mutakalliman. Allah, the Almighty, in His position, speaking, that is a distinct nature from kalam and is insurmountable, for it is the state of Allah Ta'ala, who is silent when Allah Ta'ala is silent. This nonsense is inherent to lack. As a result, Allah Ta'ala must possess the quality of perfection or be in such a situation. For the conclusion, Asma'ul Husna is one of Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala 99 names, quality and title, who has greatness and goodness. Muslim can use all of Allah illustrates names as a guide to getting to know Him better. Asma'ul Husna likewise combines the magnificence and greatness of these names with those of the magnificent and beautiful God. However, there are discrepancies in how the academic interpret the number of Asma'ul Husna. Some believe there are 100, 200, 1,000 or even 4,000. The majority view holds that Asma'ul Husna has 99 names. Learning the quantity of Asma'ul Husna is not the most crucial aspect of knowing the name of Allah. Rather, the most crucial aspect is understanding the essence of Allah the Most High. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.